All right, welcome to the Women Lead Women's Health Series with our experts Angela Hurst and Rhonda Thornton. Women Lead, first of all, let me back up for just a second. Women Lead is a women's empowerment organization. We work with women to listen, educate, advocate, and build communities. And we are kicking off the Women's History Month with our very first Women's Health Circle series. So the first Tuesday of every month for the next 4 months, we will have Rhonda and Angela here with us to talk about the health topic of the month. So Angela is our family nurse practitioner with over 20 years experience. She brings invaluable medical expertise to our discussions. She is in the process of obtaining her PhD, and she's going to be providing evidence-based insight and will address your health concerns with compassion and clarity. Angela is also a newly appointed Women Lead Membership Coordinator for Women Lead Florida. And then we have Rhonda Thornton, who is our Executive Director of Women Lead Arizona. She is a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, a master certified life coach, and a certified personal trainer with a passion for helping individuals, especially women in peri and post-menopause, reclaim their energy, confidence, and health. With expertise in corrective exercise and senior fitness, she specializes in guiding clients through mindset shifts, effective movement, nutrition, and mindfulness to create lasting wellness. And I can give a personal recommendation for the mindset shifts in my physical health thanks to Rhonda's coaching. She is also the owner of the fitness studio at Copper Poppy Spa. And beyond coaching, she's an advocate for community wellness, leading fitness programs, health challenges, and women's empowerment initiatives. So with all of that said, let's get started. Angela is going to be doing a presentation on women's heart health and self-advocacy. So Angela, go ahead and get started.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Angela Hurst. We are going to talk about heart health this month and self-advocacy. All right. So our objectives, we're going to try to remember this key information, understand that women are different, apply our self-advocacy skills, and evaluate your own health risk. More women than men die from heart disease each year. 1 in 3 women will develop heart disease. So if you look around, look to your left and look to your right, one of you has a heart disease. When I say heart disease, understand that that includes high blood pressure, cardiac, meaning heart, lungs, and it can be stroke related. So this is a very important topic, but understand I will say cardiac or heart and interchangeably. So pregnancy is, when we were on the last slide, pregnancy does increase our risk. So as we become pregnant, our bodies change. Estrogen and progesterone are adjusting to help account for more blood flow that's going to go through the body. And as we move to the middle of pregnancy, we start to see that there's more blood volume and that your blood pressure is normally going to elevate just a little, but sometimes this can go very high and it can be very alarming. Mechanical stress. So when you have the higher blood pressure in the middle of pregnancy, you're going to have hardworking arteries, and they're going to produce some higher results than you're used to. When you get to late pregnancy, you're going to notice that if you are starting to develop high blood pressure, this is because your arteries have become a little bit stiffer. As you move into perimenopause and menopause, I want you to consider that estrogen is a heart protector. Estrogen will keep the arteries flexible and it improves cholesterol levels. Between the ages of 45 to 55, ovulation becomes erratic and our cycles are not regular. And if you can look here at this picture, I have showed you here what a healthy artery looks like, followed by a partially blocked artery and a completely blocked artery. So when we're talking about cholesterol, this is something that is very important for you to understand. Your LDLs, or low density lipids, increase, and your bad cholesterol, sorry, let me say it again. Your bad cholesterol raises, and then your good cholesterol declines normally when you're in menopause. Your vessels become stiff and your blood pressure begins to raise. So you can see, we kind of call this the water hose effect. So if you look and you see that healthy artery, you're going to see blood that's going to flow through that artery without any problem. When you start to get partially blocked or a blocked artery, it's kind of like putting a kink in a hose. There's pressure that builds up on both sides, and it can raise your blood pressure, putting stress on your heart and your brain. If you have inflammation in your body and you have gained weight, which is something that can happen, that is going to increase your risk for heart disease. After you have completed menopause, the risk of heart disease continues to increase. I can't stress this enough. Women are different than men. We do not feel symptoms the same as men. So if you would feel things and you're not really sure if it's chest pain or, something that you should get looked at, this is what I want you to consider. Women feel stomach upset, more of a banding feeling between the chest and the abdomen, fatigue or tiredness that's often dismissed, back, neck, and jaw pain, and a sense of doom. And what happens is we tend to go to the doctor and we say, I've been tired, or I have an upset stomach. And that's something that can easily be dismissed. And that's not intentional all the time, but it's because we're not being very specific. So if you were to have these symptoms, notice things, notice when it's happening. Does it come and go? Does it stay? Because you're going to want to discuss this with your healthcare provider. Women are most oftenly misdiagnosed when it comes to heart issues because we do not feel, if you think of the 55-year-old male with chest pain, you will see him like clutch his heart. If you're watching medical shows, they're always saying, oh, I have chest pain. But women most definitely feel it in other parts of their body. So I want you to advocate for yourself. Know your numbers, your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your BMI, and your blood sugar. Your BMI is your body mass index, and that can be figured out using a calculator online. But what is important to know is what your bad cholesterol numbers are and what your good cholesterol numbers are. So we want to be assertive because we want to be taken seriously. Be very clear when you are entering into an exam room. I'm concerned this could be my heart. Mainly because if we're just saying our stomach hurts, you're going to get worked up for your stomach. You're not going to get a cardiac workup most of the time. You can ask for tests or results on the EKG, troponin. These are names of cardiac tests, echocardiogram, or stress test. And then ask that provider for the results once you've completed those tests. If you feel dismissed, you need to ask the provider to document that they are refusing to test you for cardiac concerns. That usually prompts some action, but we don't want to be rude. We just want to be assertive so that we can get the care we need. And this is our advocacy portion. So just because they're a provider does not mean you're forced to see them. So you don't have to see them. If you go in and you feel dismissed, you're at the wrong provider. There are millions of providers, and you can do video visits now. If you're not comfortable, then you should seek somebody that has your best interest at heart. You can be discreet when changing providers. A provider will not know that you're changing. You're entitled to second opinions or fourth opinions. If you go into the physician's or nurse practitioner's office and you say, you know, I think I'd like to get a second opinion, if that provider does not say, okay, that's not a problem, and help you facilitate that, you're at the wrong provider. There are cardiologists that specialize strictly in women's heart health, and you can always bring an advocate. Some people don't like to talk or don't feel comfortable being assertive, and that can be a family member or friend that comes with you. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So you want to think about a heart-healthy diet, exercise 150 minutes a week. That doesn't mean you have to do that all in one day, but that can be broken up over several days. Stress management. We overlook stress. We tend to tuck that away, and then we say things like our stomach hurt. Stress can really play a role on your blood pressure as well. Prioritizing sleep. I'd like to talk about stress and sleep for a second. If you have problems sleeping, your blood pressure is going to be harder to control. So that is sometimes an indication that you may need further testing, and that's something you should talk to your healthcare provider about. Sleep is your friend, and you should make every effort to get sleep. If you do nothing else, please go to sleep. You can also discuss with your healthcare provider ways to minimize your risk. You're going to, if you monitor your blood pressure, cholesterol, and changes throughout your life, you will notice, you'll see trends yourself, and you can always make sure that your provider is discussing those. And I know some of us don't like to go to the physician's or nurse practitioner's office, but you should be getting at least an annual checkup. I prefer to see my patients more often than this, especially if I'm concerned about blood pressure or cholesterol. All right, and then that is all I have. Do you guys have any questions?
I do. Can you talk a little bit about large and small particle size cholesterol?
The HDL and LDL?
Just particle size. I was reading a study that said that the size of the particles was just as important as whether or not it was how high your LDL was, that the size was really important. And I was a little bit confused by it.
There is a new test out they're doing, and I don't want to speak to the technical issues of it because I'm not super familiar with it, but what they're doing is seeing how thick the plaque is inside the artery to determine your heart risk. So this would be a test that you would have done if you have a family history of stroke or high blood pressure, you know, heart attacks, anything that puts you at risk for having that condition yourself. They will send you for this CAT scan. They will
it's a CAT scan.
Yes, and it's a different kind of CAT scan. My husband had it done. I don't qualify, but you just go in and they do your head and they check the size of the plaque. And the more plaque you have, the harder it is for that blood to get through there, the higher your blood pressure is going to be. And so that can tell them, do you need a statin, which is a cholesterol medicine? Do you need to be treated more aggressively than someone who does not have that amount of plaque?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So I have a question.
Sure.
When I first started, I went into perimenopause fairly early, almost 10 years ago now. I didn't realize this until just last year when I heard on a podcast that menopause can trigger the symptoms of heart problem. I was having heart palpitations. So I went through multiple, I wore the monitor for 24 hours. I had several tests because my doctor was very concerned about my heart, and everything came back fine. but I was having these heart palpitations all the time. And then I heard a podcast about women's health and they talked about that.
Yes.
Is that pretty common that it like mimics it, or
It can be. The most important thing is that you're addressing it. So you did the right thing, Andrea. You went to get checked out because that's how they're going to differentiate. Now, when you go into perimenopause and menopause and you start having hot flashes and heart palpitations, they can all mimic a heart attack. And if it is not going away, you've already been worked up and it's not going away, then this is the time that you should seek other measures to help. Okay. If you've had a heart history or you have a blood clotting disorder, you cannot take estrogen. So that's going to be a more natural route for women to take. Obviously, if you're pregnant, you can't take hormones either. But you have to be very careful about giving that estrogen after menopause because it can affect, increases your cancer risk. So getting checked out, knowing your status will help lead you into what can I do to tone this down. And so our bodies change, but I can't stress enough, please, please, please talk to your providers and get in there and get checked.
This is all
Always better safe than sorry.
Most definitely.
My annual checkup is coming up, so it's good to have all this information so I know what questions to ask.
Yes, yeah.
So as a provider, what is the one lifestyle choice? If you could only pick one thing that you would like to stress that people can do lifestyle wise, what would be the one thing?
This is from my years of experience rather than documented research, but I cannot stress sleep. I am an advocate for sleep, and I'll tell you why. Every time I have a patient come in complaining of chest pain, chest discomfort, stomach ache, and I start to take the history about sleep. We've got our phones in our faces. We've got TVs in the bedroom. We've got a million things going on. We're sleeping abnormally, and it's not normal. So it's not normal for you not to be able to go to bed and go to sleep and sleep at least 7 hours. If you're waking up during the night, there's a problem and it needs fixed. But when you have things like the cell phone, that screen is giving your brain more activity than it should have before bedtime. Yeah. So that's one simple risk, followed by movement.
Okay.
And I wanted to point out that when you said 150 minutes of exercise a week, that sounds like a lot, but it's only 22 minutes.
Yeah.
A day.
Pointing that out, Rhonda, because it is, I just read that 150 minutes this week in an article, and I was like, oh, that seems like a lot. I'm not doing nearly enough because I try to do about 10 minutes a day, but I'm close. I'm halfway there, right?
There you go. Yeah.
And I'm going to give you a personal story. This has nothing to do with being a provider, but I have a heart issue. So in 2013, I caught a virus from my position and it attacked my heart. And so my heart was only functioning at 10%. I also developed 3 blood clots around my lung. So I'm left with congestive heart failure. Fast forward to 2025, and I am going through another change, and here I am. I have gained weight, which I don't intend to keep, but I'm trying to get that off. My body's changing, so you have to ask for help when you need it, because the worst thing you can do is run from it, because that's not going to solve anything, and it's going to make you miserable. So I have spoken for American Heart, so that's just on the side.
Right.
Nice. I love the comment about the sleep, because I know working with women, so many women use their lack of sleep as a badge of honor, particularly the younger women who are in the throes of motherhood and all of that. And there is nothing admirable about depriving yourself of sleep. It's just not good for you.
No. It's actually can be indicative of a sleep disorder, and that can happen later in life. There's problems with people who work shift work that their cardiac risk has increased because of the lack of sleep. And I always say, I have learned the trick of napping for 15 minutes, not saying that's the great way to do that, but relaxing, learning how to relax is something that you should be able to experience. You should be able to lay down and feel it.
Absolutely. One of the things I always tell clients is that there's a free app. You can pay for it too for more features, but I just recommend that they get the free one called Insight Timer that does like sleep meditations and those kinds of things. And the difference that it makes for most people in their sleep habits is really impressive.
Yeah, I use that. I have started back to yoga. I love yoga. I have done that for a long time, but I've recently got into more meditation because I'm not relaxing and there's a problem. So it's usually my temperature.
I started doing bedtime meditation probably 2018. I would lay down and not be able to go to sleep. And I would just lay there with my eyes wide open. And I started doing those meditations as I'm falling asleep. And I get amazing sleep now. I wake up feeling rested. I sleep all night. Occasionally I'll wake up from a sound, but I don't have any problem going right back to sleep. And it really does make you feel better.
It does. My mind is much clearer, and that's a huge takeaway. You want to be alert. A person who has not had sleep and tries to drive is as dangerous on the road as a drunk driver, maybe even more dangerous.
Wow. Rhonda, do you have anything to add to the conversation from your perspective as someone who works in the exercise and food side of this?
No, well, first of all, I'd like to say that I agree 100% with Angela. I would pick sleep as the number one thing as far as importance goes. But obviously diet and exercise are super important in that equation also. And just whole grains, fresh fruits and vegetables, organic if you can get them, grass-fed beef, chicken, pasture-raised chicken, wild-caught salmon, all are just incredible for you. As a matter of fact, if anybody who wants recipes for heart healthy options, I do have a whole book of recipes and I'd be happy to email them to anybody who wants them. So just reach out to Andrea if you'd like those and I'll make sure you get them.
Well, that actually is the perfect segue into what I would like to talk about next month, which is nourishing from within and food choices for optimal wellness. And so maybe next month
that'd be a fun conversation.
We can have you lead the presentation and then get Angela's input on the medical side of that as well, because I think that's really important. And I've been working since June on my relationship with food and exercise. And what I've noticed is that it's not nearly as hard as we make it.
It's not.
And just simply changing my lifestyle without even recognizing that I'm doing it, meaning it hasn't been hard. My sugar cravings have gone away. I used to tell Rhonda how much I love cheese, and I still do, but I don't want to just eat tons of it anymore. Like it's not like a craving or a special food that I need to have. So I think that's a really good conversation for next time.
Yeah, I think all three of us would agree that small changes add up to making a huge difference. You don't have to completely revamp your lifestyle in order to be healthy.
No, and like I said, I went back to yoga. That's what's working for me at this time. You know,
Mhm.
I have run marathons. I do triathlons, and here I am back at yoga, just doing yoga because my body cannot handle any amount of training right now. So I'll get back there, but it's not today. So
And
I
listening to your body is so important.
it is.
Yeah.
It's your home. It's where you live, and it's very important. I just wanted to add one more thing before I forget, Rhonda. We had talked about what if you could not afford to buy organic, what would be the order? And I have always told my patients, fresh is best. It would be frozen next,
Yep.
and then canned last. Okay. So
Yep,
I wanted to
absolutely.
make sure. Okay.
And there's a thing called the Dirty Dozen, and you can look it up every year to see which ones are most important to buy as organic. But the things that always come up are strawberries and peppers are always on there. But it kind of changes. But just look up the Dirty Dozen, and it'll tell you the things that are most important to buy organic.
Yeah. We tell patients if they're going to buy canned to leach, which means put them in a strainer and rinse them off. Won't remove all the salt, but that will help
Oh, absolutely.
take some of
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah. And it's so good that there's so much information out there for all women because, it doesn't matter what stage of life that you're in. So it can be overwhelming and scary if you allow it to be. And that's why I like doing something like this where you can get some questions answered and know, what do I need to talk to my doctor about? What should I be concerned or unconcerned about? So
Right.
thank you both for agreeing to do this with me.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really
It's
excited.
great information.
So next month, first Tuesday of the month, I'm not sure what that date is, but first Tuesday in April, we will talk about nourishing from within.
Okay.
Food choices, exercise choices. Angela can give us her perspective as a medical practitioner, and
right.
we will go from there.
All right.
Awesome. I look forward to it.
All right.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you both so much, and I will see you next time.